What is going on, guys? My name is Taylor Stuber, and I'm here to break down this Wednesday, January 13th NBA slate on Draftkings Fanduel, and of course, the sponsor of this video, PrizePicks.com. We have 8 games on the slate, so a bit more than yesterday, but it is a Wednesday slate, so it is expected. If you guys want to check out my game-by-game notes, they are already posted. As you're watching this video, they are already in the Discord for completely free. If you guys want to join that, link is in the description. But you guys showed out like no other yesterday, and I could not be more grateful for that. I asked for 120 likes and 50 comments, and we got 175 likes and like 75 comments. So you guys are balling out. We are, amongst my competitors and other people that make videos like this, our likes are greater than most of them, and we have much less viewership, which means my viewers are very, very high quality. We do have the best community. We win together, we lose together, we celebrate together, we tilt together in that Discord. It's a good time. You guys should join there if you haven't already. So I'm going to aim for 150 likes again this video and 50 comments. I know you guys can show up for me. You guys always have my back, and it does not go unnoticed. I'm very, very grateful, like I said. So if you guys could subscribe, like this video, and then comment below with your favorite play of the day, I would really, really appreciate that. Got to break through this algorithm, give YouTube no choice but to recommend my video. And so we can grow as a community and grow together. But let's just break down this NBA slate. So we will start off with the Dallas Mavericks at the Charlotte Hornets, a 219.5 over under. The Mavericks are currently 4-point favorites. We are going to be with a very, very thin Dallas Mavericks team. Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell, and Jalen Brunson are all out. They are getting off extended rest just because their last game did get canceled due to not having enough players to even play the game. So they might run their players out a bit more than we're expecting. Kristaps Porzingis is probable to make his season debut today, but like last year when he was coming off injury, they will take it very, very light with him. I would only expect him to play maybe 12 to 15 minutes, so obviously not viable in playing him himself, but it will take away a couple of minutes from guys like Willie Cauley-Stein, James Johnson, but they are so thin in the front court. I think guys like Willie Cauley-Stein at 4,100 is set to play a pretty good run at maybe 26 to 30 minutes is my expectation here. He lost minutes last game just because the starting unit of this Dallas Mavericks team was so poor that they just benched everybody, including Luka Doncic, and ran the second unit a bit longer than normal. James Johnson was the beneficiary to that, but really the only guy that I'm interested in outside of a guy like Willie Cauley-Stein is going to be Luka Doncic, 10.8K. I'm not going to get all that much of him just because there's so many great stud plays in the 8 and 9K range that I'm probably going to get to them with the savings. But if I have the money to get up to Luka Doncic, I would feel more than good about playing him. He's a 37.5% use rating, 15.4 total rebound percentage, 46.5 assist percentage, averaging 1.55 fantasy points per minute. Should play anywhere from 36 to 38 minutes in competitive games. And as long as Porzingis is limited, I think I am more than fine with paying that price tag. Obviously, once things get a bit to normality for this Dallas team, and Porzingis is playing bigger minutes, that price tag is going to be a bit too expensive for him. Move over to the Charlotte Hornets, a relatively healthy team. Cody Zeller continues to be out. Bismack Biyombo is going to start for him. But this team is getting better and better, in my opinion, just because they're playing LaMelo Ball more and more. They've been playing a lot of Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham, and LaMelo Ball together. They've been closing with that lineup, so 3 guards, Gordon Hayward, and then 1 of PJ Washington and Bismack Biyombo. So with LaMelo Ball receiving more minutes, guys like Miles Bridges, Bismack Biyombo especially, have been losing minutes. But LaMelo Ball, I think he might still be a little bit too cheap. A 24.3% usage rating, team high 14.6 total rebound percentage. You heard that right. Team high total rebound percentage for LaMelo Ball. A 35.5 assist percentage, which is also leading the team, averaging 1.36 fantasy points per minute. He shot 3 for 13 last game and still scored 45 fantasy points. If his shot is ever falling, he's a triple-double threat whenever he's out there on the court. Like I said, he oozes fantasy points. He was bred for daily fantasy sports. Love LaMelo Ball on both sides, and it looks like he should be playing around 30 minutes, and he might start playing more and more because Borrego does reward good play. So wouldn't be surprised if LaMelo Ball starts playing 32, 34 minutes, and then if that's the case, he's going to be a lot more expensive than 7.2K moving forward. I think Gordon Hayward is a fine play as well. If you guys want more in-depth analysis for this, make sure to check out the notes in the Discord. It is in the free content tab right now. Now we'll move over to the Milwaukee Bucks and the Detroit Pistons at 226 over/under. The Bucks are 10.5-point favorites. Only Torrey Craig is out, so this team is relatively healthy. So when this team is healthy, the sentiment remains the same. If you think this game stays competitive, Giannis, Middleton, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, they're all amazing plays and they're entirely too cheap. But there's so many blowouts when it comes to the Bucks ever since last year that it's hard for them to pay off their price tags when the games blow out. Now, this game could definitely blow out. It is a 10.5-point spread currently, and this Pistons team is not very good at all. But so I would avoid them in cash games, but in GPPs, if this game does stay competitive, which the two games against Detroit were relatively close. I like them a good bit. Bobby Portis, I would also like to mention, has earned more playing time, playing next to Brook Lopez a bit more than usual. And so he should be playing mid-20s minutes, whether the game stays close or it is a blowout. Move over to the Detroit Pistons. Killian Hayes, he's obviously out. Jeremy Grant, he came to the Pistons for a reason, and that was for a larger offensive role, and that's what he's been getting. And he's playing 36.5 minutes per game, which is, I believe, the fifth most in the league, with a 26.7% usage rating, 9.4 total rebound percentage, averaging 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So he's playing big minutes and has the second highest usage rating on this team. 7.9K, that's a bit too expensive for me, but honestly, with the production that he's been getting lately, it's more than worth that price tag. Over here on Prize Picks, he is only at 33. That's his projection over here. I would slam the over on him, and then LaMelo Ball I like as well, and Gordon Hayward. So here's a quick three that I like the overs on. If you guys want to help me out, join using code Taylor, TAYLOR, when signing up, depositing over here on prizepicks.com. Link is in the description. You'll receive a 100% match bonus up to $100. And then the rest of this team is really not all that interesting. Derrick Rose, I suppose, at 5.5K is interesting. He leads the team with a 30.3% usage rating and a 39.8% usage or assist percentage, averaging 1.12 fantasy points per minute. But he's supposed to be on a 28 minutes limit, but seldom is he even getting to 28 minutes. So if he does return to 28 minutes, 5,500 is too cheap for him, but the last few games, I know he left a couple games ago against the same Milwaukee team due to an injury running into Giannis Antetokounmpo, but I just don't know right now. GPP's only, and then Blake Griffin, it looks like he's seemingly being phased out of the offense. I mean, obviously he's going to still play the minutes, but he's not being used nearly as much with Jeremy Grant on the team now. Move over to the Brooklyn Nets at the New York Knicks. Kyrie Irving, I don't know if this dude's ever going to play, to be honest. Spencer Dinwiddie, they are both out. Tyler Johnson is questionable. So we got this news right before lock. Bruce Brown ended up starting over Karis LeVert. So Bruce Brown, I don't mind him at 3,300. If you need like a near minimum price play, I don't mind him. But Karis LeVert coming off the bench, now he has wild, absolutely wild rates when he's not playing next to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. But it's in all the games that he's come off the bench, he's struggled to play more than 26, 28 minutes. So I'm off Karis LeVert as a whole. Now, he can definitely get it done in 26 minutes. He averages about 1.4 fantasy points per minute when not playing next to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and that should be the majority of his minutes in this game if he continues to come off the bench. Now, it's a different story if he's starting. If he's starting, you can expect 36 minutes. We just saw that the other day when he was starting next to Durant, but that's something we're going to have to wait and see on. But then Kevin Durant, a 40.6% usage rating, 50 assist percentage that last game when he started and Karis LeVert came off the bench, and I would expect that to stick. So Kevin Durant, 9.4K, probably the best spend-up option today on both sides. Only 9.4K over here on Draftkings. Wish he was small forward eligible. That would make things a lot easier, but going to be getting to a lot of Kevin Durant. And then one last guy I wanted to mention on this team is Jared Allen. He's 6,700, but it looks like he's almost certainly supplanted and secured the minutes at the center spot over DeAndre Jordan. He played 36 minutes last game, didn't have a good game at all, but on the season, he does average 1.2 fantasy points per minute. So I feel more than fine going back to the well with him. Move over to the New York Knicks. Alec Burks, Obi Toppin, Frank Ntilikina, they're all out. Reggie Bullock is doubtful, so don't think we're going to be seeing him. Taj Gibson will make his season debut today. He is minimum price. Not sure how much he's played or he's going to play. We know that Thibodeau and him have a long track record of just running Taj Gibson into the ground. I don't necessarily think we see that today since Julius Randle is playing big minutes, but last game, the Knicks only ran an 8-man rotation, so super tight rotation. Obviously Reggie Bullock was out that game as well, so I think we probably get an 8-man rotation. Maybe somebody comes out of that rotation, or it turns into a 9-man rotation with Taj Gibson getting in the mix. But Julius Randle, he led the league in minutes per game until that last game where he only played 30 minutes. But that was mainly due to Kevin Knox, his first stint on the court. He just got on fire from 3 in the second quarter, so it kept him off the court for a bit longer than usual. I would expect his minutes to go back into that 38-minute range. RJ Barrett still leads the league in minutes per game at 38 minutes. He's only 7,100. Don't mind him as well. And then Mitchell Robinson seems to have a stronghold on the center minutes. 5,800, averages well over a fantasy point per minute over the course of his career. It's good matchup against the Brooklyn Nets. Only 5,800, has been playing 34 minutes the last few games, and that's with Nerlens Noel being healthy. But also, like to mention, Austin Rivers, he started the last couple of games started last game over Reggie Bullock when Reggie Bullock was ruled out, played 37 minutes. I think you could see a similar situation today. Move over to the Memphis Grizzlies at the Minnesota Timberwolves. 219.5 over-under. Timberwolves are 3-point favorites. Grizzlies, they're still without John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., John Concher is questionable. So it looks like Jonas Valanciunas is seemingly taking back control of the center minutes, playing around 30 minutes. That's what I'm expecting from him today. Gets a cupcake matchup against this Minnesota Timberwolves team. And he has a 25.9% usage rating, 20.7 total rebound percentage, averaging 1.36 fantasy points per minute without Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. On the court since the beginning of last year, so a very large sample size. He's only 6,900. Nobody's going to be playing him, and Gorky Jenks, his minutes have been coming down, and it's been in favor of Jonas Valanciunas. So if we think that he plays 30 minutes with those rates against a Minnesota Timberwolves team, he's going to be single-digit ownership, and I like him quite a bit today. Brandon Clark, he's a fine play. He continues to play around 30 minutes per game, averages 1.03 fantasy points per minute with these guys off the court since the beginning of last year. He's not that bad of a play. And then they priced everybody else up, like Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, Tyus Jones. I think they're all fine GPP plays given the matchup, but too expensive for me in cash games. So the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're going to be, they're relatively healthy now. Josh Okogie, he's questionable, but Karl Anthony Towns is expected to play. So last time Towns played, they said he was going to be limited, which I guess he was somewhat limited. I mean, he played 32 minutes in regulation, and then he played all 5 minutes in overtime. So if he plays today, I think he plays 34 minutes. Not really going to get to all that much of him, but the thing that matters the most with him being back is just it's going to take me off of all these other guys like D'Angelo Russell, Beasley, Rubio, Naz Reid, because they're all priced up as if Karl Anthony Towns is out. So now that he's back in, their prices are way too inflated for me to even be interested in them at all. The Los Angeles Clippers at the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Lakers are 9-point favorites. The over-under hasn't come out just yet, as far as I could find. But Wesley Matthews is out. Anthony Davis is questionable. It is the second leg of a back-to-back, so I would not be the slightest bit surprised if either of these guys sat. But $9,600 for LeBron James, $9,000 for Anthony Davis. These guys continue to be criminally underowned. If these guys are a full go, like I expect them to be, the game blew out yesterday, so they did not even play that much. So Anthony Davis at $9,000. I mean, both these guys are just ridiculous price tags. I'm going to get to all that I can get of these guys, pairing them with guys like Kevin Durant. Just entirely too cheap. Whatever minutes limit they had at the beginning of the year is clearly gone now. So I love this top two guys. And then the rest of this team, unless LeBron James or Anthony Davis are out, I'm never going to be interested in these Lakers guys. Maybe Dennis Schroeder. He's pretty cheap on FanDuel. Not so much on DraftKings, but You're going to be focusing on the studs from the Lakers. Then move over to the Oklahoma City Thunder, another team that I'm not that interested in outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Baisley, Horford. You know the deal when it comes to the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 26.6% usage rating, 8.4 total rebound percentage, 33.2 assist percentage, averaging 1.22 fantasy points per minute. His price came down from $8,000 to $7,700. He just didn't seem very engaged in the game yesterday. So his rates are going to remain the same, and due to recency bias, he's going to go severely under-owned than what he should be. It is a tough matchup against the Lakers, granted, but if the rates are going to remain the same and the game is competitive, he's going to play around 36 minutes, which would be really good for him at 7,700. Baisley, 5,900. His role seems relatively secure, playing around 33 minutes. Leads the team in rebound opportunities. Al Horford, 5,700, is going to play 29 minutes. He averages about a fantasy point per minute. Move over to the Atlanta Hawks and the Phoenix Suns, a 228 over-under. The Suns are 5-point favorites. Now, this game has a lot of injury news we need to monitor throughout the day because Danilo Gallinari, Bogdanovic, Kristan, they're all out. So they're already pretty thin. And then Clint Capella and Rajon Rondo are questionable. It looks like Okongwu is probable to make his debut today. Should play a couple of backup minutes, regardless if Clint Capella plays or not. But if Clint Capella misses, this dictates the entire slate, in my opinion, because we are going to see John Collins go from the 4 to the 5, which is going to open up more minutes from the 2, 3, and 4 spot. And they are already really thin with no Bogdanovic, no Danilo Gallinari. And then John Collins isn't going to be playing as many minutes at the 4 because he's going to be playing the majority of his minutes at the 5. And then I would absolutely love John Collins today if Clint Capella misses, because he averages 1.22 fantasy points per minute as opposed to 1.12 fantasy points per minute when he's playing next to Clint Capella. His total rebound percentage goes up by 2.3%. So I would love Clint Capella. And then guys like DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish are going to play big minutes today. And they would all be way too cheap for their prices and how many minutes they're going to end up playing in a game that has the second highest over-under on the slate. Trae Young, also, his price is down to 8.9K. Crazy. His rates are the same, and with this team, with losing Clint Capella actually helps them. He has a 33.2% usage rating, 40.3 assist percentage, averaging 1.28 fantasy points per minute this year. So he just hasn't been that efficient, but we know over the course of the season he's going to revert to what he's used to doing the last couple of years. 8.9K is way too cheap for him. And I wouldn't expect Rondo to eat into his minutes all that much, even if he plays. Rondo will likely only play like 10 or 12 minutes, with Trae Young getting like 36 minutes. Move over to the Phoenix Suns, another very interesting spot because Cam Payne is doubtful. He missed last game. If you were in the stream, we talked about it a bit more extensively, but I'll go over it again. With Cam Payne out, they're going to stagger the minutes of Chris Paul and Devin Booker. And now listen to these rates. It's really interesting because since Cam Payne is doubtful, I'm not expecting him to play. Expect Chris Paul and Devin Booker to play about 30 to 40% of their minutes without each other on the court. So Devin Booker, a 33.2% use rating, 27.2 assist percentage, averaging 1.19 fantasy points per minute when Chris Paul is off the court. So 30 to 40% of his minutes are going to be rates like that, as opposed to 28% usage rating, 15.9 assist percentage, and averaging only 0.91 fantasy points per minute when he's next to Chris Paul. So a massive boost to Devin Booker, and it's the same with Chris Paul. He is a 19.1% usage rating, 50.9 assist percentage, averaging 1.15 fantasy points per minute when he's not playing next to Devin Booker. But then when he's playing with Devin Booker, he has a 19.9% usage rating, 39.4 assist percentage, averaging 1.04 fantasy points per minute. So those 30 to 40% of the minutes where they're not playing next to each other are going to be absolutely smash minutes for those guys, which makes me very interested in them. And then all the starters outside of Jay Crowder, whose minutes are getting eaten into by Dario Saric, should play 32 plus minutes, and it is a massive pace up spot for them, one of the highest implied team totals for this Phoenix Suns team. Move over to the New Orleans Pelicans at the Los Angeles Clippers, a 220 over under. Clippers are 6-point favorites. So we already have news that Lonzo Ball is out. Eric Bledsoe is questionable. So Bledsoe dealing with an eye injury. I'm curious to see if he plays. I really, really hope he does, because there's some plays that I would really like from this team if Eric Bledsoe does play. But the Pelicans have not played since January 8th, so they're on a 5-day rest period right now because their last game got canceled due to COVID protocols. But a lot of people are already assuming that Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to start for the Pelicans in the absence of Lonzo Ball, and I would not be I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. But I think what's going to happen, assuming Eric Bledsoe is healthy, is that Bledsoe just slides over to the point guard spot, because if you look at the rotations, whenever Lonzo Ball comes out, Eric Bledsoe was already off the court, and then Bledsoe will come right back in and play point guard for an extended period of time. But if both these guys miss, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is probably going to get a good bit of run. But Eric Bledsoe, without Ball on the court, a 23.6% usage rating, 36.4 assist percentage, averaging 1.19 fantasy points per minute. So I would absolutely love Eric Bledsoe at 5.8K. Unfortunately, this is the last game of the slate, so it's going to be hard to play around that news unless we get news earlier in the day. And then if Bledsoe does slide up to the point guard spot, I do think that Josh Hart would more than likely slide into the starting lineup, not Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker, it's really easy for him to pay off his price tag because he's only 3.1K. If both these guys miss, he's probably going to be a smash play. But he has a 27.8% usage rating, 23.7 assist percentage, averaging 1.12 fantasy points per minute when he's not playing next to Lonzo Ball. Now, those are really good rates, but those are skewed because the majority of those minutes are in blowout run when he's also not alongside Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. So expect those rates to significantly drop when playing next to the starters. A similar situation to what we saw with Cole Anthony when he had these absurd rates coming off the bench, but when he got into the starting lineup, he just wasn't nearly as good. And also, I don't think he plays that many minutes. So I am a bit skeptical on Nickeil Alexander-Walker unless both Eric Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball are out. And then Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Brandon Ingram, I think, is a great play. 29.4% use rating, 10.8 total rebound percentage, 28.6 assist percentage, averaging 1.25 fantasy points per minute. I think he's a great play. But then Zion Williamson, he is down to 7.3K. A lot of his down games have been due to foul trouble or blowout. But he leads the team with a 30% usage rating, 14.2 total rebound percentage, 1.14 fantasy points per minute. I think he's just entirely too cheap at 7,300. Not the best matchup against the Clippers, but just the rates and how used he is offensively. And with Lonzo off the court, his assist percentage should come up a bit more. I love Zion Williamson at this price tag. Over to the Clippers, Ivica Zubac is questionable. I forgot to put that in my notes. But if Zubac is ruled out, Serge Ibaka would become a really, really good play, especially on FanDuel, because on FanDuel, he's 5,600 and he's a power forward. For whatever reason, he doesn't play power forward. He hasn't for years. Would absolutely love him over on FanDuel. He's 6K over here. I think he's a fine play. But if Zubac is out, we should see him start, obviously, and then play 32 plus minutes with Patrick Patterson getting some backup run at the 5. And then Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. I think both of them are pretty solid plays. And honestly, Paul George might be a bit too cheap on both sides just because he is playing 38 to 40 minutes the last 4 games that have been competitive. So like him a good bit. And then the last game of the slate, the Portland Trailblazers at the Sacramento Kings. The 236 over-under Trailblazers are 4.5-point favorites. So this is a very, very enticing game. Zach Collins is out. Yusuf Nurkic is questionable. So Nurkic exited last game in the first quarter. Enes Kanter immediately came in for him. Got some run in the first half. He started the second half, but he only played a couple minutes before Carmelo Anthony ended up coming in and playing the last 19 and a half minutes of the game at the 5 position. So really skeptical with Enes Kanter's minutes right now. It is a similar team. They were playing against Chris Boucher at the 5, and so that might have been part of the problem with playing Enes Kanter. Like, Chris Boucher can absolutely torture Enes Kanter, but now Enes Kanter is playing against Rashawn Holmes, who is more of a plotter guy in the paint. So I expect more minutes out of Enes Kanter at 4.8K, and this is all if Yusuf Nurkic ends up being ruled out. But if Nurkic ends up playing, I mean, pretty much all, like, I think it was like the last 7 or 8 games, he just didn't get minutes because of either foul trouble, blowout, or that one game, or injury, or that one game that Enes Kanter was playing absolutely out of his mind in the fourth quarter, and Nurkic didn't even come back in. It looks like Nurkic, on a normal scenario, would play about 30 minutes. He averages 1.3, did I not write it down? I think he averages about 1.12 fantasy points per minute. Yeah, 1.12 fantasy points per minute this year. So if he's playing 30 minutes at 6.1K, yeah, I absolutely love Jusuf Nurkic. And then CJ McCollum, it really seems like they are trying to get him an all-star appearance. He has a 28.7% usage rating, 24.8 assist percentage, averaging 1.35 fantasy points per minute, playing anywhere from 38 to 44 minutes in competitive games. And they're staggering his minutes with Damian Lillard more than they ever have. And so he's going to play big minutes. His rates are massive, and he's only 8.6K. I think his price realistically should be a lot closer than to Damian Lillard's than it is. And then the last team on the slate, the Sacramento Kings, they are healthy right now. They have Q tags next to Holmes and Hield, but they are both probable to play. And I don't know if Marvin Bagley is still limited or if they're not deciding to close with him and deciding to close with Halliburton instead, which is what they've been doing the last handful of games. So regardless, Marvin Bagley's just not getting enough minutes for me to be interested in him. Once he starts getting into that 30-minute range, I'll be interested in him. But right now, he's playing like mid-25, like 25 minutes at most recently. But De'Aaron Fox, I mean, he's whatever minutes limit he was off of, he was on coming off that injury is completely gone. He played 38 minutes last game. His price tag is way too cheap. 7.4K over here on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel, De'Aaron Fox is 7.3K. I absolutely love De'Aaron Fox. One of my favorite plays on the slate. He's a 28% usage rating, 29.2 assist percentage, averaging 1.1 fantasy points per minute. He leads the team in all of those rates, and should be playing 36-38 minutes, assuming this game stays competitive. And a lot of that has to do with his usage being this high. With Buddy Hield, his usage rating is way down, down to 19.1% this year, as opposed to mid-20s last year. So Buddy Hield, don't like him all that much. And then Hassan Whiteside, he's completely out of the rotation right now. We're seeing Richaun Holmes playing big minutes, like 34, 36 minutes a game. He's been one of the most efficient players in the entire NBA. And then Marvin Bagley is serving as the backup center outside of playing minutes at the 4 for the most part. So I love Richaun Holmes again. And then Harrison Barnes, he has an 18.4% use rating, 10.7 total rebound percentage, 13.1 assist percentage, only averaging 0.96 fantasy points per minute, but he's playing 37-38 minutes a game in a good matchup against the Portland Trailblazers. Don't mind him in the least bit at 6.7K, a bit more desirable over on FanDuel. And then one last thing to note is that Tyrese Halliburton is closing with this team. So he's playing like 28-30 minutes, but when he's playing next to all the starters, he's not nearly as good as he was coming off the bench. His rates do come down a bit more. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. This video was almost 30 minutes long. If you guys made it to the end, make sure to let me know in the comments. Trying to get 150 likes, 50 comments. Would really appreciate if you guys could help out. Make sure to join the Discord if you haven't already. And I will be live streaming an hour before lock at 5 p.m. Central Time over on twitch.tv/Taylor Stuber. Make sure to come check it out. Join the community. We are growing at a massive rate, and it has mostly to do with you guys. I'm just trying my best, and you guys are coming through for me, really helping me out. Does not go unnoticed. I am so grateful for all of you guys. Really appreciate you guys even coming back to my videos on a consistent basis. But best of luck today, and until next time, peace.